minus 10 minutes. Minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
It is the best darn sports talk show in the daytime in the land. And here we are on Game Plus Television and streaming. We're going to rock it. We're going to rock it with episode number 1535. Today's guest coming up in hour 2, the Sports Doctor Dave Petrishen out of Winnipeg, Canada. We're going to be talking NFL, NHL, CFL with him. That's kind of what we do around here. With a lot of baseball as well. RP here, your boy RP here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center. And the Moose is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the home of the Blue Jays. And we're going to open up there, Moose, as we get going in the Quick Six show horn. Quick Six show topics, because we're here for a quick time, not a long time in the opening segment. The big story for me, I don't know about you, but for me it's baseball. MVP Kyle Schwarber went 3 for 3 in the first All-Star Game home run swing-off to put the National League ahead 4-3 following a 6-6 tie in which the American League rallied from a 6-run deficit last night in the MLB All-Star Game in Atlanta. The game was decided by having 3 batters from each league take 3 swings each off the pitching coaches. Jays Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and Alejandro Kirk both went 1 for 2 at the plate in the game for the AL squad. All-Star Game. I didn't, full disclosure, didn't watch a pitch because I was calling my own baseball game, Darren, but my phone was going off. Social media was going off with a pretty entertaining night in Atlanta. Did you catch any of it last night?
Yeah, the All-Star Game was cool. I mean, the 6-run comeback and then, the home run swing off or whatever they're calling it was really entertaining. And that was fun. For me, the highlight of the whole thing, though, and you've seen it all over your social media feeds, was Clayton Kershaw mic'd up. I think it was the at-bat against Vladdy, and he got the strikeout in maybe his final ever All-Star appearance. It was really cool. He's talking to John Smoltz, and he's asking Smoltz, what pitch he should throw and what he should throw. And he's like, throw this pitch. And he's like, I don't throw that pitch. You should know that. That's not one of my pitches. And he's like, I mean a slider. So he throws that. And I don't know. It was a really cool moment. And I think the All-Star Game was fun.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I feel like, and I don't know if you sense it, but baseball is making a major comeback. And yesterday's interview with Matt Stairs was wildly popular on this show. And the World Series champion, 2008 NLCS MVP, Matt Stairs, who's now working as a hitting coach with the Okotoks Dogs in our Western Canadian Baseball League, just brought up some things. And the viewers had some questions that I want to lob to you, Darren. Matt Stairs not a fan of robotic umpires, but it was used last night in the MLB All-Star Game and had a major effect. Stairs doesn't like robotic umpires. He's old school. He also doesn't like starting extra innings with a runner on second. I can tell you right now, I do. And I told Matt, listen, I'm broadcasting these games. We went to extra innings last night. Moose Jaw and Weyburn. It was hella exciting. We'd still be there if we didn't have a guy on second base to start the 10th and 11th. Well, we only went 10 last night, but we've had games that have gone 11. He doesn't like that, but he does like the pitch clock. And I'm all for the pitch clock as well. But what this comes down to me, Darren, is that it's all a matter of personal opinion. But they've tweaked the game a lot, and it's had amazing results. I feel like baseball is making a comeback. Where are you on that?
It does feel like it. I mean, forever, baseball was the one sport, that didn't change, that wouldn't change. And we saw it in the ratings, I think. We saw it in other leagues surpassing baseball. I know it's America's pastime, but it's all about the tradition of the game. It's all about history, traditions, and they didn't want to change anything. The pitch clock has been fantastic. Getting those games moving a little faster and over a little sooner helps everybody's commitment before going to a ballgame, because it's hard when you're thinking about, do I really want to commit maybe 4.5 hours of my time to go to this baseball game? Now it's 3 hours. It's less. It's 3.5 is a long game. So that really has helped. The robotic umpires, I'm not sure if that's going to be good or not. I mean, I love the human element to the game, and I'm kind of hit or miss on that. Obviously, if it's going to get the calls right, then maybe it's going to be better for the game. But baseball's moving in the right direction, man. I think it is.
Well, the fun part about that, and we got a lot to get to today, folks, so just hold on. People writing in. Everybody's excited, and from what I can see, all the comments are positive. I like that. But this is the opening segment. The big story is baseball, because you can only talk about the MLB All-Star Game once a year, which, by the way, is always a great question. Who has the best All-Star Game? We've had that as our poll question over the years. MLB tweeted last night from their account, the best All-Star Game in sports. I'm not totally going to say that it isn't. I'm not. But the interesting chat with Matt Starrett. Did you get your hair cut, Moose? Did you get your hair cut? Looks like you did.
I did about, 5 days ago.
Oh, I finally noticed.
But
the one interesting thing that Matt Stairs brought up yesterday was he goes, well, I am an old school guy, but maybe I need to get with it. And he kind of laughed in that, again, the 30 owners in MLB plus the commissioner will make the decision on all these decisions moving forth. You just said, do they want the calls right? Because the robotic umpires will get the calls right 100% of the time. That's what they're there for. But the old timers are saying, we don't want that. We want the pub. We want the human influence. We want to be able to argue with the umpire. Then what? You got to decide what you want. Okay? Because I would think having the right calls would be paramount, but not everybody wants that. Which makes no, say it out loud. We don't want the right calls because it hasn't always been that way. Now you have the opportunity with technology. Why wouldn't you want that? Jeremy in Winnipeg writes that he says, that's a big star on your sweater, Rod. Dem boys. Yes, that is a fact. This jacket actually came from my friend Jamie in Cold Harbor, Nova Scotia. He might be watching today. I'm not sure. But I thought, hey, NFL training camps are opening. It's time for the Cowboys resurgence. We do have NFL coming up in our topics here today. We got a lot. North Texas Mean Green writes in. He says, great guest was Stairs yesterday. He says, but to clarify, Stairs didn't win the NLCS MVP. Oh, well, I thought he did back in 2008. I know he won the World Series. It's in his Wikipedia somewhere. I might have written it down wrong. He's still a hero as far as I'm concerned. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta writes in. He says, no, I didn't watch the game. So what the hell is a swing off? Reminds me of something from Wayne's World. Swing. Tony, get your mind out of the gutter. It's amazing that it's just like the smoke bowl on Friday night where the CFL had to dust off their protocol for delaying a game because of weather quality. Here's the All-Star game going, oh, we're tied. What the hell are we going to do here? Oh, they're going to have a swing off. What's that? Just wait. We got to look it up. So that's what they did. What?
You mentioned that. We talked about that yesterday, about the riders or the CFL updating the policy for communication. It's not like you're in a crisis. It's like, where's the manual? And you pull out the binder and you start leafing through the binder looking for how to handle this. No, you handle it on the fly with the tools you have.
Jeremy writes in, he says, the only NFC team I will cheer for is the Cowboys. I don't care. I like Jerry Jones and the history. Well, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I don't like Jerry Jones. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, to me, All-Star games should be at the end of the season. Have it be a fun send-off. Well, Carlos, write the leagues. We'll be right back with more of the Quick Six right after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Welcome back, everybody. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network all across Canada and 32 U.S. states, where the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. As we move along, Moose is in Toronto. They tell me it's an NFL town, Toronto. Yeah. Before we get to the Canadian Football League, while that's what a lot of people have come here for, Moose, this caught my eye in the Quick Six show topics. The NBA may finally be one step closer on the long road to expansion. Commissioner Adam Silver said Tuesday the league has been tasked by team owners to study the issue more formally. Cities such as Las Vegas and Seattle, the long-perceived frontrunners, should the league expand past its current 30-team footprint, will surely continue to push to be the eventual picks. I don't know why people get so horny about expansion talk, but I get it. I do too. But at least the leagues are actually talking about it, unlike the CFL and other leagues. And I guess if you were the NBA and you could expand one more city, let's just say one, where would it be for you?
Yeah, it's Vegas. The
Really?
fact that they're not in the fact that they're not in Vegas, every other league's in Vegas, and it just seems like the next logical step. I mean, Seattle would be great. I get it too as well, if those are the two choices or the two front runners. But Vegas just seems like the logical pick. I mean, what the Golden Knights did coming into that market and really taking professional sports in that market and showing, that city and those leagues what it can be. And now the Raiders are there and the Aces are there and the WNBA. And I think there's a real opportunity for the NBA to jump in that market too.
Well, people finally agree with me. Scott in Vancouver writes it. He says, the Supersonics should be front of the line. And that's my team. That's my town. It's not my team, but that's where I think they should go. The first, what should I say? The first NBA games I saw were neutral site games in Saskatoon, but it got me hooked on the game. So when I went out on the West Coast with the hockey teams on our West Coast trip, Seattle, I always went to games. First, they were renovating the Key Arena, so they were playing in the Tacoma Dome. Went there. It was awesome. Then I went to the Key Arena. George Karl was the coach of the Supersonics. Never did line up that we could watch the Trailblazers in Portland, but they love the NBA in Seattle. It ripped their heart out when they left. And while the Seahawks have always been their number one team, the Supersonics are like a close 1B. For me, it's Seattle. I was interested to read the story there because I've got a lot of friends that work with that Golden Knights organization, and they've told me, I thought they were getting a team. I thought it had already been announced. So whether there's something internal that I missed or it's a big secret, they're like, yeah, we're getting a team. Okay, because I feel like what Bill Foley wants, he gets. But maybe they're putting the cart ahead of the horse. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I think Vegas is already building an arena. They're building a ballpark for the A's. But no, I think they'll play in T-Mobile Arena. Carlos in Indianapolis says 32 teams is a good number, works for the NFL. Yes. Listen, Montreal would be real nice. I don't think they're going back to Vancouver. They botched that. We all remember Big Country and all that was great, Mike Bibby. But Montreal seems ready for me to host the NBA. I'm going to say Seattle and Montreal would be my two teams. Moose is saying Vegas. He's a big Vegas guy. Ryan in upstate New York writes in, he says, "Good day, Rod Squad. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and the New York Jets have signed 2 franchise pillars through 2030. Gonna be a great day." Okay. Moving on. Like I told you, people are in a good mood. They're punchy and scrappy and not in a bad way. But we got to keep this on point here in the Quick Six Show Topics with what Moose and I want to talk about. 902-518-3033 is the Western Dodge text line to reach us here in the studio. So I'm going to jump out of order. Point 4 before we get to point 3. Point 4 is the Canadian Football League has reinstated veteran defensive lineman Sean Lemon, who was suspended last year for betting on games back in 2021. Lemon wagered on CFL contests while with Calgary, including one he played in. Now a free agent, he's eligible to sign with any team under strict conditions. Any further violations mean a lifetime ban. Did not have that on my bingo card when I woke up this morning that Sean Lemon would be reinstated by the CFL. I was a little surprised when that email came into my inbox. How do you feel about it?
It's pretty monumental, I think. I think this is a very big deal. It comes on the heels, of Pete Rose getting reinstated by Major League Baseball
once he died
after his passing. But it happens fast with Sean Lemon. And I don't know if the MLB, reinstating Pete Rose had any influence on the Canadian Football League or not. I'm not sure. But it's the longest suspension in league history. There's conditions that go along with it. He'll still have to serve a 2-game suspension for a different issue when he comes back, if he gets signed by anybody. But what I'm really curious about is what happens to the next guy, the next one, if this happens again. Because
he's nailed to the wall.
On the one hand, precedent has been set that it's not a lifetime ban-ish, by bringing him back in. But at the same time, the second one's always worse. It always gets worse because you've seen now what happens. If you do it, it's going to be worse. So I think that's a fair punishment. I think Sean Lemon served his time. He's going to feel the effects of it. It's late in his career, so every game that he misses, every year that he misses is so much more detrimental because he's running out of the games to play. I'm happy he's back. I really am.
Well, so am I. He's a great guy. He's been a longtime friend of ours. He's been on this show multiple times. John Ohm. Yes, I fixed the gong. John Ohm says, the Lemon regained his juice. Surprised by that news, CFL. Some Jeff the Stamps fan says, who's going to sign him? Whoever needs a defensive end and wants to win a Grey Cup. He's won 3. He's all that. I'm sure there's some tread left on the tire there with Sean Lemon, but I don't think he's all-star form. You make a really good point about what happens to the next one. I'd like to dare to dream that there won't be a next one, that these kids will be smart and not bet on games. And that's right, I said kids, because I realize now I'm old enough to be their dad, and I did a lot of dumb things, but I've never been charged. I'll make that very clear. With any crime. Never broke any law. But I wonder what this does for Arlen Bruce IV. And you know what I'm talking about with that. He was banned from the NCAA for betting at Iowa in college, but his college career is over. Signed the contract with the Edmonton Elcamos. But Randy Ambrosie, the then CFL commissioner, voided that contract because of the gambling violation in NCAA. We used to have a rule in the CFL, or maybe it was an unwritten rule way back, that a suspension in one league does not carry over into another. Does anybody remember that? Like, you got to go back a long ways, but like if you were suspended in the NFL, you could play in the CFL. If you were suspended in the CFL, you could play in the NFL if you got a contract. That was a thing at one time. I don't know if it still is or not, but to me, it's patently unfair that Arlen Bruce IV, who could immediately step in and be the greatest receiver in the CFL. I don't doubt that for a second. Have you seen the videos of what he's doing in the Arena League right now? He's at least playing down there, but it's a new commissioner, Stuart Johnston. If he's reinstated Sean Lemon, because I got the sense that Ambrosie never would have if he was still the CFL. I think he canceled Sean Lemon, Randy Ambrosie. But Stuart Johnston clearly feels differently. So should Arlen Bruce IV have hope now with today's news?
I would think so. I wonder if there's a contract being offered now. I think that was Chris Jones in Edmonton tried to bring him in and sign him to that contract. You wonder if others in the league are interested in bringing Arlen Bruce IV in, and if there's those contract offers happening. If there is, I imagine there's conversation. And especially after this, I don't see why not. I don't know all the hang-ups on it, but yeah, I would think this definitely opens the door.
We've got guys writing in here on the NFL, and I appreciate you, Jeremy. I'll get to that if we have time with Moose, but it's going to be just you and me for 40 minutes coming up a little later once Moose adjourns. And Dave Petrishen, the sports doctor, will be with us, who is a Minnesota Vikings season ticket holder. So I'm more than happy to talk NFL when we're in the viewer takeover segment where you guys can dictate the topics of what we talk about. But that ain't here right now. It's me and Moose's time. So as we look at Week 7 in the Canadian Football League, come on, let's look at it because we're CFL guys. Thursday, Toronto at Montreal. Friday, Calgary at Winnipeg. Saturday, Sask at BC. And Sunday, Hamilton at Ottawa. The poll question for our friends at EMJ Marketing today is, what is Canada's game of the week in the CFL? We do it every Wednesday. Look, bias is entering me for my vote on this, Darren. I'm voting for Sask at BC because it's a Saturday. Riders at BC is always a special game. We look forward to that every year. When I was with the team for 20 years, it's just special. But to be honest, Calgary at Winnipeg probably is the bigger game, might even be the better game. But for me, I'm voting Sask at BC. How about you?
Yeah, I'm Calgary, Winnipeg. But I was looking at this schedule, and at first I'm looking at them. I'm like, Montreal, Toronto. Wow, that's going to be a game. You know, Toronto has really struggled. We don't know about their quarterback situation. They really need a win. Montreal has stumbled a little bit here. Wow, what a big game. And then I looked at it. Wait a second. No, Calgary and Winnipeg is the game of the week. Winnipeg, we're going to find out really what they're made of. You know, I talked about Calgary and what they did the last 2 weeks, but Winnipeg has an opportunity here to kind of avenge a really poor outing in Calgary. So that's really exciting. And then even Hamilton and Ottawa will be good. Ottawa just needs to find a way here to do something. They're getting good quarterback play, but not getting results. So looking forward to this week. But yeah, Calgary, Winnipeg for me.
Carlos in Indianapolis says it's the Stampede Bowl rematch for me. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says BC Sask might be the game of the week. It's a battle for third. John says first place up for grabs in the West. I agree, Rod. I'm a Rider fan, but Winnipeg versus Stamps should be number one. I'm still voting for Sask and BC just because old habits do die hard, and I think it'll be a fantastic game, and I think I'm going to be able to tune into that one. It's a busy week. We got a big homestand this week for the Millers, but I believe, that's the night of the WCBL All-Star game. So, yeah, there's no game for us here. So we got some time. I was going through the game notes, Ramuski. Some interesting notes here. Number one, the last crossover in the Canadian Football League, for those that don't know, fourth place team in one division crosses over into the other division if they have a better record than the third place team in that division. That hasn't happened since 2019. Can you believe that? There hasn't been a crossover since 2019. But right now, the standings dictate that. The one thing, there's a lot of new people in the CFL office. God bless them. But it's like, guys, it's a little early to be talking playoffs and crossover birds, okay? Can we just get that clear? So there's that. Road teams are 12 and 11. Road teams have won more games than home teams. They're 12 and 11. And quarterbacks have a 68.7% completion percentage. Darren, that is an all-time high. All-time high completion percentage for quarterbacks combined. What are your thoughts on those juicy game notes?
That makes for good football. And the CFL, third of the way through the year, has been very entertaining. The games have been good. We've had good finishes, lots of parity as we expect. This is fun. And when the quarterback play, when quarterbacks are healthy, starting quarterbacks are healthy, and when quarterback play is high, the game is good. The product is good. I know there are 12 guys on each side of the ball and a lot of guys on those rosters, 90, on on the teams, but it's the quarterbacks. And when they're completing the ball like that, if that's a record, that tells you the CFL is pumping out some pretty good football for the fans.
They really are. And like I say, the guy that does the game notes, Steve Daniels, been around for a long time. So maybe he's behind this. I just think in week 7, it's a little early to start talking about a crossover. But the numbers are what they are. He's just saying if the playoffs started today, there would be a crossover. I can't believe that there hasn't been one since 2019. I just find that juicy. From the audience, Scott in Vancouver says, can we talk more about the Chiefs? I shouldn't have worn NFL clothes today. That's my bad. It's got people all horny for the NFL. Tony in Cochrane says, gambling is okay, but force fire and marijuana smoke is not in the CFL. Cheeky. A cheeky comment from Tony. We'll continue this all when we come back here on Game Plus and streaming.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
We roll on the RP show on this Wednesday. By the way, the Western Dodge text line's open, 902-518-3033. Now would be a good time to reach me. This is the last segment with the Moose, and then it's viewer takeover for several segments after that. And then Dave Petrishen, the sports doctor, will be joining us in hour 2 for an NFL, NHL, CFL chat. Ron in Calgary writes in and he says, I will stop by to say a quick hi when you come to Calgary. That's awesome. We'll be at the Sheraton Airport Cavalier Airport, July 29th for the Western Canadian Pro Hockey Scouting Foundation induction. My dad's going in. Live show from the Sheraton. And then the next day live from Overtime Hockey Lanes. We had a wonderful chat with Overtime Hockey Lanes yesterday. They're excited to host us. Here's the thing. Come by and say hi. But what I will say, and Darren understands, I do not have time to go for coffee. I do not have time to go for lunch. I never would. There's a lot of people writing me that I don't even know. Rod, can we go for lunch? I'm sure you're a great person. We're not going for lunch, and we're not going for coffee. But you're more than welcome to come by the live shows. Okay, Moose, as we roll on here, this will be fun. And I see some people have joined us late. In the quick 6 show topics, you've missed a lot. We've talked about the Major League Baseball swing-off last night and the National League winning the All-Star game in a swing-off. Number 2, NBA expansion. Number 3, Sean Lemon, reinstated by the CFL. Number 4, CFL Week 7 games. And what's the game of the week? We move on now to the National Hockey League. The Chicago Blackhawks agreed on Tuesday to a 3-year entry-level deal with Anton Frundell, who was the number 3 overall pick in last month's draft. The 18-year-old Swedish forward's deal has a $975,000 cap hit. The Toronto Maple Leafs have signed forward Miroslav Holinka to a 3-year entry-level deal. Last season with the Edmonton Oil Kings from the Dub, had 45 points in 47 regular season games. How about that? So some signings of the kids, but I look at the NHL schedule. Darren, you saw that they announced that on October 7th, Chicago Blackhawks are at Florida. I'll be there. Blackhawks fans are talking about coming down to Florida and doing a swing, watching the Blackhawks in Sunrise and then in Tampa. I'm like, yeah, I think I'd be down with that. But I don't think the Blackhawks are going to be any better. My question to you is, because I'm starting to hear it a little bit from people, how are the Blackhawks going to be?
Yeah, I'm really curious. It's one of those teams. And I saw this as, I don't know if it was a poll question or just a social media post, but it was, who is going to, I don't know if they said who's going to win a cup first or who's going to just be good first among the Blackhawks, the San Jose Sharks, the New York Islanders, 3 teams that are kind of trying to rebuild and turn this thing around. And, you know, I look at the San Jose Sharks as being the most exciting of the 3. I like some things going on the island. I really do, especially with Matthew Schaefer, you know, Matthew Barzal and some others. They've got some really good pieces there, and they're going to be okay. But I really like the Sharks. Like, the way they played and, you know, struggled to put up wins, they were still exciting. They have a real beacon of light and hope, and they've got a young goaltender. They've got young forwards, the back end. Like, they've got a lot of these pieces that if they mature, they'll be really great. Chicago, we're just sitting there scratching our heads. And I do think they'll be better. I think they'll start to take a step forward. I think Connor Bedard will start to come out of his, I don't know if he's in a shell, but come out of his shell and maybe take another step. But I just don't see them taking as big of a step as those other 2 teams. I think those other 2 are leaps and bounds ahead of where Chicago is.
So I love the people that perk up when we get into this. Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in and he says, what's left on the free agency front? Not much. It's not something that I've perused, but you at any time can go to tsn.ca or type into your browser NHL free agent tracker. It's a flea market, man. You're not going to go to the flea market on the last day. Shoot. If you're not going in the first hour to the flea market, you're not getting anything good. You're getting junk. Come on. As far as the Chicago Blackhawks go, I think they're going to be really bad. And I feel bad that I reported the scoop. I mean, I'm still trapped in that Never Land or the neutral zone. Purgatory. Media purgatory is where I am, Darren. Where we used to report the rumors, right? That's what we did. That was the current. Now, if you do, a lot of people don't like it, you know? So the rumor I heard in the press box in Sunrise was that the Chicago Blackhawks were going to clean house from what I thought was a pretty good source. And then they didn't. And I had some Chicago staff not upset, but they wrote me and they said, who told you that? Where did you hear that? What? I'm just telling you. That's what I heard. But then they didn't do it. But to be honest, when you say, will they be better? I don't know that they'll be better. Like getting rid of Taylor Hall for nothing. Bedard still has nobody to play with. And when you watch Chicago live, I feel bad for the kid. And thank God he's as mature as he is. Now he'll be 19, maybe 20, whatever. 20 this year, I guess. Darren, people are trying to drag him down. Media people are trying to drag him down, saying he's got a bad attitude in this. I mean, thank God you and I both know him personally. We know his family. The kid's as grounded as they come. But there's people saying he's got the bad attitude, that he's sick of losing. He's this. Well, number one, could you blame him if he was sick of losing? And two, I mean, I watched him in Chicago. He put the puck right on Tyler Bertuzzi's stick, and Bertuzzi, like right in front of the net, and Bertuzzi put it in row 12. And that's the best they had. Foligno that night was hurt, but they haven't signed anybody to get better. They got Spencer Knight in goal, who I think will be fine. He's the next one. We watched him in Florida as a backup for years, and he was supposed to be the next one to Sergei Bobrovsky. When you talk about San Jose, I'm with you on that, because you were always picking him to win, right, in our picks and stuff, and you were usually right. I know that you are excited about San Jose, but did you look at the standings? They still finished in the bottom three, I believe. For sure, bottom. They're still not that good. But I think we can see that they're on the rise. That's what you're saying, right? Yeah. I don't think we can see that with Chicago.
No, that's the difference. When you watch Chicago play, they're going to lose the games, but they push teams. They're in games. They're exciting. They make plays. They've got all these things that are getting you excited. And when they put it all together and they get a little more mature and they stop making some of these mental errors, they're ready to just break out, and that's what you want when you're rebuilding, is these signs that, hey, we've got a lot of the pieces here. We got a lot of things, building blocks. And pretty soon they're going to step up and be mature enough that they're going to be able to really win some hockey games. And I just don't see that in Chicago.
No. Bomber Boy writes in from Calgary, and he says Bedard will be better. The Hawks won't be. Scott in Vancouver says the Blackhawks roster is terrible, minus Bedard and Nazar. How old is Frondell? Another kid. They just drafted him. Kevin the Medium chimes in. He says, good morning, RP peeps. Joe Lazito is watching on Long Island, and he writes that he says, in 3 seasons, the Islanders and Sharks will be amongst the elite in the NHL. Chicago will still be Chicago. I just don't see a way out for Chicago. I don't believe the GM there has done a good job. Kyle Davidson, there I said it. But to be honest, Craig Button said the same thing, and he survived. He didn't get canceled. John Ohm says, Rod won't take some free lunch? I better cross that off my list. No, John, as usual, I love you, as you know, but you weren't listening. Nobody was offering to buy me lunch. They just want to go for lunch. Usually I get invited for lunch, and then I end up paying. I'm like, what the hell? You invited me. But we went to Hooters in Winnipeg. We had a meet and greet. Michael Wynn from Winnipeg was there. John Ohm, you were there. If we were having, it's not that I don't want to go for lunch with people or have a meet and greet. It's a blur. It's going to be a blur, man. People think this is a holiday, and it's not. I'll be in Calgary with just enough time to do 2 live shows, and then I'll be back in the car and coming back here. And I was talking to the Theron Fleury people this morning. May or may not be doing the live show from Theron Fleury's golf tournament. It's just, these aren't holidays, man, and I appreciate that people want to get together. It reminds me of Darius Rucker, Darren, when he went from Hootie and the Blowfish to singing country. They said, what's the big difference with the fans between the two? He goes, well, the rock fans just want you to sign their boobs, and the country fans want to go for a beer. It's a big difference. Yeah, I get that. You want to go for a I don't have time. Okay, what's the last thing you got, Moose, before we let you go?
Yeah, let's call that the NHL fans versus the CFL fans. A more intimate league, but they want more of your time, and they expect it, and they think you're going to give it to them, which is totally fine. But no, yeah, I mean, last thought is just on for me the big news of the day, which is Sean Lemon. Just want to reiterate how great it is to see him reinstated. I see the 3-down post that they maybe want him back in Montreal, so happy to see Sean back.
Great guy. We all make mistakes. Have a great day, Moose.
Yeah.
Right back after this, everybody.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. Pleased to have you aboard here on Game Plus Television or streaming live. If that's your thing, give us a like, a share, do what you do. For those that are watching on YouTube, and we're also found on all major podcast platforms. And we're getting some really good responses to our podcast production. Thank you to Skycron and our crew. Corey, they are doing a fantastic job with the podcast. On the rise, we got a sports update coming up here for Cool Bet Canada. But isn't this something? It's just you and me for the next 40 minutes. Can you handle that? And then Dave Petrishen, the sports doctor, will be with us. He can talk about anything. He's that talented kind of guy, but we'll be talking a lot of NFL, NHL, CFL with the sports doc next hour. He's a Minnesota Vikings season ticket holder. Same with the Bombers. Follows the Jets quite closely as well. Regarding the Chicago Blackhawks, as I said, I think they're going to be really bad. everybody outside Chicago, I think, feels the same thing. Nelson writes in, our VP of Sim Events, and he says the Blackhawks are taking the same approach as the Regina Pats, his junior team, not building a team around Bedard and putting it all on his shoulders to bring a franchise back to life. I can't say that he's wrong, and Nelson isn't really a hockey guy. He's football first, but I don't see what they're doing to help Bedard there at all. Other than this Frondell was a good pick. But when you're picking third overall, I'd like to think it's not that. It'd be hard to screw that up. Regarding us coming to Calgary for a pair of shows and me not having time to go for lunch or coffee with viewers, I don't know why anybody would get offended by that. James Mooner Warnicki writes in and he says, I'll throw a kink in this. Rod, you should take me for lunch. Here's the point. I'm not going for lunch with anybody. This is the one thing that people don't understand. I feel like Corey, our producer who owns Skycron, isn't a real go for lunch kind of guy either. There's a lot of people, let's go for lunch, let's go for coffee. That's not really my thing. Anyways, just to give you an example, when the Golden Knights fired up, I want to say it was 2015, 2016, I went to Las Vegas and texted Kelly McCrimmon, their general manager, and asked to go for coffee in Vegas. He laughed at me. Kelly McCrimmon is a not go for kind of guy. You know who also is not a let's go for lunch. Where do you want to go for lunch? Chris Jones is not a let's go for lunch kind of. I wouldn't even ask Jones. You would get that look. And he'd be wearing sunglasses, but you'd still know what that look was. I was thinking about Chris Jones last night as I was walking up the stands in the ballpark here, Roswell's Park. I was wearing my shades. I learned this from Jones. Wear shades, then you can scan everybody in the room, but nobody knows that you're scanning, and then ignore everybody that you want to ignore. That's a Chris Jones thing. You're welcome. Yeah, I opened the door on the rumors, and that's on me. I got to shut it here. Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, there's a rumor that the Canucks might send Dakota Joshua to Chicago to clear cap space. There's a lot of rumors out there. I'm done with the rumors. Kevin the Medium writes in, he says he won't even go for lunch with his favorite medium, so you all just need to chill. I got to get into the sports here. Jeff the Stamps fan says, I agree with Rod. I don't want to have lunch with someone I don't actually know. Yeah, these are guys that I know that I hesitate to ask. It's not happening. Sports update for Coolbet Canada. Edmonton's Royal Mayfair Golf Club will host the 2026 CPKC Women's Open. Golf Canada made the announcement Wednesday morning, setting up next year's National Women's Championship. Royal Mayfair will hold the only LPGA Tour in Canada August 17th to the 23rd, 2026. Mississauga Golf and Country Club in Mississauga is hosting this year's Women's Open August 18th to the 24th. Major League Baseball has the day off after the National League topped the American League in a first-ever All-Star swing-off last night. The annual classic ended 6-6 before each team picked three hitters for a home run showdown, with the NL winning 4-3. Toronto Blue Jays batters Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Alejandro Kirk both went 1 for 2 at the plate during the game. The Kansas City Chiefs beat Tuesday's NFL deadline to sign franchise tag guard Trey Smith to a multi-year contract by agreeing to terms on a $94 million U.S. deal. His average salary of $23.5 million makes Smith the highest paid guard in the NFL. And Evan Gilliard Jr. scored 30 points. Greg Brown III had 17. And the 11-5 Calgary Surge moved into sole possession of second place in the Canadian Elite Basketball League's Western Conference with a 103-81 victory over the Saskatchewan Rattlers at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon last night. The sports headlines are brought to you by Coolbet Canada. Get a welcome bonus up to $200 with the promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. I'll be going on Winnipeg Sports Talk, by the way, just after our show ends. It'll be, I think it's 1:20 p.m. Central with Andrew Hustler Patterson, the host of Winnipeg Sports Talk. He also is an endorser of Cool Bet, just like me, along with Saskatchewan Rough Riders kicker Brett Lowther. So I'm just going to tell you, it's like, producer Corey's never heard me use these references before, these parallels. Get ready, Corey. It's like, well, you're not maybe old enough. It was like Facts of Life and Different Strokes in the 80s. You were born in the 80s, so you probably don't remember. But when Tootie from Facts of Life appeared on Different Strokes, it just blew our minds. And the crazy thing was that Edna Garrett was on both shows, playing the same person. What the hell? I'm just saying, when Tootie Ramsey from Facts of Life ended up on Different Strokes, because she was hanging out with Arnold Jackson. What the hell? This is, what? I'll be on Winnipeg Sports Talk with Hustler Pedersen at 1:20 Central, 12:20 SAS time, talking CFL. Oh, my God. Hang on, everybody. On all of these topics that we talked about, I feel like we jumped into overtime early, and I'm okay with that. I said I wanted your participation, everybody. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, which I didn't realize he was as big of a hockey fan as he's proving to be today. He says the Chicago Blackhawks still recovering from their Stanley Cup streak when they had salary cap issues and got old. Takes a few years to come back from that. If they ever come back at all, that's the point. It's not easy to win. It's not easy to win one game. I've said that many times. It's not easy to win one game in any sport. To win 3 championships in a decade is almost unheard of these days. And then with the Blackhawks scandal, we don't need to go down that road, but as I was in Chicago in January talking to people there, I'm obviously not going to name names, but I just said, how did this Kyle Davidson get the job as the GM? And they said he was the last one left standing. Everybody else got fired. And he's still running the show. We just don't see any signs of them getting better. So Tony's right. There is a significant hangover after that. But I would think by now, it's been 10 years since they won. Craig Button, our close friend, says it should take 5 years for a rebuild. Minimum 5 years. But 10? See, yeah. Well, I don't know how this turned into Chicago Blackhawk talk, but I'm here for it. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes, and he says it could take forever for the Blackhawks to get relevant. You got to draft talent, not have busts. Rebuilding with high picks is never a guarantee at success. The Hawks could have another 50-some-year drought. That's what I'm saying. I hope not. It's a great hockey town. And they still fill that barn inexplicably to watch that crap. When we were talking about Chris Jones, everybody got all excited that he was spotted in Halifax, Nova Scotia, like he couldn't be seen in the Maritimes. Chris Jones loves the Canadian Maritimes. He throws football camps out there. Enoch Mwamba, it's a great story. Enoch Mwamba, as a kid, went to a Chris Jones football camp on Halifax. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it kind of is a big deal, I guess, that Chris Jones, the defensive assistant from the University of North Carolina, was spotted in Halifax. Like, big deal. Somebody wrote in here and said, is he going to be the head coach of the Schooners? Well, number one, there isn't going to be Schooners, so the answer to that is no. But it reminds me a little bit of walking into Diggers in Prince Albert. Me, this is back in my fan days. What was I, 18, 19, working at CKBI, Prince Albert. And who's sitting in Diggers? But Don Matthews. The Don. With his latest girlfriend at the time. That guy was Bill Belichick before there was a Bill Belichick, Don Matthews. And we were all just, oh my, that looks like Don Matthews. It turns out it was Don Matthews. And he was dating the daughter of the PA Penn warden's daughter. He was dating the Penn warden's daughter, who he would later marry. Oh my God, Don Matthews is at Diggers in PA. Very similar to Chris Jones being in Halifax. I haven't heard that Jones was there for a football camp, but my guess is that he was there for a football camp because he throws football camps in Halifax. Nelson our VP of Sim Events, says, I think the Chicago Blackhawks are still recovering from other things that happened inside the organization. After accusations like that, who wants to go there? I'm not going to say you're wrong, but at some point, people need to move on. Everybody's been fired. They have served their... Joel Quenneville's back, for God's sakes. Like, at some point, I don't think that's affecting what's on ice with Chicago, but I'm not necessarily saying that it doesn't either. I don't know. The point is they're going to be really bad this year. Everybody just hang on. We'll continue this into hour 2. Got some great questions coming in, and the Sports Doctor will be joining us as well from Winnipeg. We'll be right back after this break on Game Plus and streaming.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hi. Are you seated comfortably? Let's begin. It's hour 2 of the RP show on the Game Plus television network. Yeah, we're having a great time today, and it's just us amusing ourselves. Moose was with us 1 hour ago, but he gone. We got the Sports Doctor coming up in the next segment, and we're just having a great time here on the Game Plus Television Network, Canada-wide and 32 U.S. states. And yes, as the gentleman Jeremy from Winnipeg wrote in, he said, it's a very big star on your chest, Rod. I wouldn't mind talking about the National Football League for this entire segment. Gosh knows we could. Jeremy is a Kansas City Chiefs fan who says the only team in the NFC he could cheer for is the Cowboys because he likes Jerry Jones. I'm like, I'm a Cowboys fan, and I don't even like Jerry Jones. Why would you like Jerry Jones? We'll shelve that for a second because we've got some great comments have come in from the viewers. Just before I get to those, can we go through the quick six show topics for the latecomers? This is what we've been talking about today. The National League won the Major League Baseball All-Star Game on Tuesday night in Atlanta in a swing-off. Their very first swing-off they've ever had. It went to extra innings. Instead of playing extra innings, they had 3 batters from each team have a home run derby, and the National League won it. Everybody's raging about it. Number 2, the NBA says they are considering expansion. Looks like it's going to happen. Commissioner Adam Silver has admitted that. He's not saying the locales, but they're saying Las Vegas and Seattle are the front runners. I'd like to throw Montreal in there, but I'm the only one. Point 3, CFL Week 7 kicks off Thursday night, Toronto at Montreal. I've got some great CFL stats I went through with Moose, and I'll go through those with the Sports Doctor when he joins us next out of Winnipeg. But the Game of the Week poll, we do it every Wednesday. What's Canada's Game of the Week? We have a dead heat. This should not surprise anybody considering where our vast region of the majority of viewers are. Dead tie, 46% voting Calgary at Winnipeg, the Stampede Bowl rematch, and 46% voting Sask at BC. That's what I voted for, but I'm just being a homer here. I always loved Saskatchewan at BC games in the summer. They're the best. Great roadies. Tied for the Game of the Week. And then in the bottom, 5% voting for Toronto at Montreal, 3% voting for Hamilton at Ottawa. Point 4, breaking news from the Canadian Football League today. Our good friend Sean Lemon has been reinstated. He was suspended, what was it, in 2022? Can't remember the year. For betting on games in 2021. He's been suspended ever since. The years tend to run together when you get to be old like me. But he's back and a free agent and free to sign with whoever wants Sean. The question is, at his age, mid-30s, will anybody sign him? I don't know. And I'm glad that it had this conclusion with a new commissioner. I think that's what it took, was the new commissioner, Stuart Johnston, reinstating him. The last one, Randy Ambrosi, whom, frankly, I've said many times I have no problem with, but he canceled Sean Lemon. This was not going to happen on Randy Ambrosi's watch. But the new commissioner said, let him play. Now, what I want to know is, will the new commissioner overrule the Randy Ambrosi edict? He voided the contract of Arlen Bruce IV with the Edmonton Elks, signed by Chris Jones, because Arlen Bruce IV had been banned forever from college football for betting while at Iowa, but that was in college. Do the right thing, CFL. Let Arlen Bruce IV play. Free Arlen. And then point 5 that elicited all these responses that I did not expect. NHL notes. The Chicago Blackhawks signing their 3rd overall pick, Anton Frundell, to a 3-year, $975,000 deal per year. And the Leafs signing forward Miroslav Holinka, who had point a game last year in the dub with the Edmonton Oil Kings. I just said, how are those Blackhawks going to be? I still think they're going to be really bad. And it just triggered an avalanche of response as to not only that they will be bad, but the questions, why? Are they still suffering from a Stanley Cup hangover? Is it because of the abuse scandal? What is it? I don't know why. I just know they're awful and will be awful this year. But they'll be in Sunrise for opening night, Tuesday, October the 7th, 5 p.m. Eastern face-off. It's from the text line for Western Dodge, 902-518-3033. Kirk in Toronto writes in. I'm just going to read these, not really going to pass any judgment on them. He says, hey, Rod, Bobby Orr's response in the Toronto Sun on recent comments made by Ron McLean on Don Cherry, shame on you. I'm sitting back here just not offering an opinion on any of this. I talked about it yesterday. Both Ron McLean and Don Cherry have been on this show post-2019 when they had the meltdown. I think we would all agree that it's just sad that it's gotten to this point. And they've been both really good to me, too. So I'm not going to be Bobby Orr, obviously, I'm sure, has a relationship with Ron McLean. I'll side with Cherry in this one and simply saying, why are we talking about it? Why are you bringing it up? It's an incredibly sore subject. Can we move on? But it's very hard sometimes for people to move on. I'm going to, though. Kirk from Toronto goes on to say, if Halifax gets a CFL team, there could be 2 boat logos. How about that? And if my aunt sprouted wheels, she'd be a bike. Talking about coming to Calgary later this month to do 2 shows. It's going to be a whirlwind in and out. So I'm trying to put it out there. Some people seem to be triggered or offended when I say this. I don't have time to go for coffee or lunch. I don't have time to go for coffee or lunch with people that I know, with my friends, let alone people that I don't even know, that I've never met. So I'm just putting the disclaimer out there. Don't expect to be going. You can come to the shows. We'll be live at the Sheraton Cavalier Airport on July 29th, right in the lobby. Come on down and say hi. I advocate for that. The next day, we'll be live at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. But beyond that, come on down and say hi. I don't have time to go for lunch. I'm there working. It's not a holiday. That's all. People seem to be having fun with that. Chad in Lethbridge writes in, and he says, how about people offer to bring you a coffee and a donut rather than go for coffee? LOL. Love the Rod's rant. How about you don't bring me anything? That would be even better. Just come and enjoy the show. That seems to have been lost in the whole thing here. It's not Rod's coming and we're going for lunch. It's not happening. No. I don't understand that. Now, I did try this. I said it last hour in Vegas with Kelly McCrimmon. I texted him way back, almost 10 years ago now. I was coming to Vegas. He's with the Golden Knights. Hey, Crim, can we go for lunch? Or coffee, whatever. He laughed at me. Got it. And he's not wrong. I was. So I hung out with Ray Elgard. He wasn't doing anything. Fake Gainer writes in on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033. By the way, Fake Gainer, if you're in the need of a brand new truck, come to Western Dodge. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge in Moose Jaw. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. He says, hi, Reverend Rod. For those that don't know, the new viewers, I am an ordained minister with the Universal Life Church in the USA. Hey, Rod, I would have bought you a $3 hot dog lunch special from the Milestone Co-op sometime this summer, but I lost my wallet again. LOL. Signed, Fake Gainer. Don't worry, I don't eat hot dogs anymore. Blame Brent from Wellington, Florida for that. It's ruined my hot dog eating experience. So you're good. But speaking of Milestone, here's a story for you all. I am from a town of 640 people. It's never got bigger and it's never got smaller in terms of population. 640 people, Milestone, Saskatchewan. The reason being, every time a girl gets pregnant, a guy leaves town. So on the weekend, I was driving through Milestone. I was heading down to the Energy City, and I thought, I've been trying to get a hold of my aunt for ages, for a face-to-face. She's like 80, as is her husband, my Uncle Gary. And they're always too busy. They're farm people. They're always working 24/7, 365. Wow, it's just hectic, Rod. Finally I said, I'm just going to ambush him. So I rolled into the yard, and what were they doing? Out working in the yard, of course, in their 80s. That's them. And just speaking of lunch, the reason I bring this all up is, she says, hey, do you want some soup? I'll put some tomato soup. I got tomato soup on. Do you want to stay for lunch? And I said, I'll take some tomato soup, just like Jeff the Stamps fan offered it here earlier on. He said he always has it on. She goes, I'll open another can. I'm like, don't do that. I was just saying yes to be nice. I had Tim Hortons Timbits on my way out of Moose Jaw. I'm good. That's how they roll. I'll open another can of soup for you. We're good. I don't know how this all came up. Oh, here's one. Rick in Martinsville, Sask writes in. He says, ran into Chris Jones. Chris Jones, CFL legendary coach, now at North Carolina with Bill Belichick. He says, I ran into Chris Jones at a Garth Brooks concert in Saskatoon back in the day. He actually allowed my daughter a selfie with him. What do you mean he actually did? He's a great guy. At least to me, he is. There's people that don't like him, but guess what? There's people that don't like me. I can't figure that out. I'm a great guy. We had a great time in Saskatoon. Jones and I, we watched the championship of the NLL when the Rush won with 12 seconds to go. What the hell? Jeff Cornwall. I was with him. 12 seconds to go in the final game. Breakaway scores to win it all. Bob's your uncle. Jones turns to me and goes, can't draw it up better than that. Well, Kevin, the medium, writes in and he says, how the heck are we even friends when you don't eat hot dogs? This is new information. I will need time to digest this. I've been on these kicks before. I learn what's in a hot dog and I am temporarily disgusted by it. Usually I move on. It takes a while. But Brent from Wellington, Florida, one of my closest friends from home, is a meat salesman. And he told me stuff I didn't want to know. Mike from Winnipeg writes in. He says, watching the RP show from Vegas today. Love it. Keep up the great work, Rod. Go, Bombers, go. Mike we talked about you last hour, Mike, just so you know. Because John Ohm got his feelings hurt, I think, when I said I don't have time to go for lunch. And he brought up Winnipeg. Well, we had a meet and greet at Hooters. That's different. That was scheduled. You came down, Mike. John Ohm came down. That was a big time. If we had time to do that in Calgary, I would do it. On this trip, we don't have time. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes that he says, hot dogs are the worst for you, right? That's all that I'm saying. 111, thank you, Carlos in Indianapolis, for pointing it out. BW from Edmonton, same thing. Scott in Vancouver. I'd like to pull this back on the road, but I don't even know where that would be. We're so far off the road, we couldn't find the road with a GPS. I am looking forward to the NFL season. I am. There's going to be a lot of NFL talk. And as a matter of fact, we're going to talk NFL coming up in the next segment here with the Sports Doctor, plus CFL and NHL. Mike from Winnipeg, which, by the way, Mike, I saw that you're at the Win. I ran into, what the hell, the old Washington quarterback, Joe Theismann there. Joe Theismann. There's just some guys that just look. For those that say God created us all equal, who said that? No, he didn't. Take a look at Joe Theismann sometime. I just had that voice in my head said, don't say it, Rod. Don't say it. It was nothing bad about Joe Theismann, but it was a banquet that I was at. Don't say it, Rod. It was not an indictment on Joe Theismann. It was an indictment on people in the room. Let's put it that way. Don't say it, Rod. Okay, I won't. But when I see the Win in Winnipeg, no, I'm not saying it, Corey. You can't do that anymore. I'm not that guy anymore. Producer Corey's like, say it. No. Yeah, no. That's like we're all sitting around the toilet bowl at the elementary school, and the guys are saying, grab it, grab that thing in the toilet. No, not doing it. You can't goad me into these things anymore. I used to be that. I'm not saying it. Kevin the Medium says, stop with the hot dogs are bad for you. My goodness, the universe put them on earth as a reward for being here. Listen, I have nothing against hot dogs. I see the ads on television for them, the deals at the ballpark. I'm sure they're wonderful. Joey Chestnut's been eating 80 of them, and he's fine. I'm like, I'm just not eating them, okay? It's like the people that got mad at me when I stopped drinking 10 years ago. How can you have alcohol ads on your show when you don't drink? I have nothing against alcohol. I just don't partake in it. How can you support gambling? You're a recovery coach. Also, I don't have a problem with gambling. Never have. But if you do, talk to me and maybe we'll have it, we'll get you over that. But 9 out of 10 people can gamble and have no problem. 9 out of 10 people can drink and have no problem. 9 out of 10 people, I guess, can eat hot dogs and love it. I'm just not eating hot dogs. Dale in Winnipeg writes it. He says, so nice to stream the RP show, camping for a month and a half. Jack and I are loving it. Great show, all. Dude, Jack, good for you, man. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm guessing you got your Jeep out there in the woods. I wish that one day, a couple Mondays ago that I had off, I was looking around going, oh, man, it would be nice to have a day off. But you know what? It's not like we're sitting here performing brain surgery. It's not like we're roofing. It's not like we're doing anything hard. You, Dale, work hard for a living. So enjoy yourself. And I'm glad that you've tuned us in on your vacation out there. Cole in North Dakota writes in. He says, this show is sure entertaining. Makes cleaning school buses and the bus barn enjoyable. Also, Hebrew national hot dogs are tasty. I'll take your word for it, and I feel like when the sports doctor joins us, he'll have some thoughts on hot dogs. He's a food guy. We'll be right back after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Well, this program today has just been fantastic, hasn't it? I got to say thank you. The viewers have really brought it today. It's got nothing to do with me. And when I say the viewers, the people that are writing in on the text line, the YouTube chat. And this guy, were you at the Calgary Stampede, Dave? Because I heard reports that Guy Fieri was there. And I was like, are we sure it was Guy Fieri or was the sports doctor there?
I was not at the Calgary Stampede this year. Was it they call the greatest show on earth or something like that? No, I did not make it, but I did see the Guy Fieri pictures.
Okay, the greatest outdoor show on earth, which, by the way, it is. Okay, so yesterday was National Hot Dog Day. Spill your guts, as it were.
It's actually today, and I just sent you the social media post, and I don't know why. I was the guy that created that. I don't know why I got the wrong date in there.
That's funny. You created what at Salisbury House National Hot Dog Day? Explain, please.
It is National Hot Dog Day. It is the July 16th is called National Hot Dog Day, and as I joined into the show probably about 10 minutes prior, I thought maybe that's what the topic of conversation was. But we are celebrating that. I'm going to change my social media at Salisbury House.
I literally have no idea how it even came up. I have no idea. Oh. A guy wrote in and said, I'll buy you a hot dog. I said, I don't eat them anymore after I learned what's in them. But that's a topic for another time. Dave, if we can get serious, we'll come back on this because people have a ton of comments on the hot dogs. I guess I should just say this. Where are you on hot dogs? Clearly, you're a fan.
Oh, I love hot dogs. We used to have specials. Costco is one of those guilty pleasures. Anytime you go there for a hot dog and a big drink for $1.50, and even 99 cents when you're out in the States and stuff. That's a stop on the tour. I like hot dogs at Jets games. I like hot dogs at Bomber games. Hot dogs at Vikings games. I'm just a hot dog guy.
I was always that guy, and I'll probably get back to being that guy. But I can't believe that the viewers have globbed onto this, just like the Ron and Don drama the other day. They want to talk about hot dogs here. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta says, damn, I had hot dogs for lunch yesterday. Bomber Boy in Calgary says, is Joey Chestnut a professional athlete? I will say, is he making his living at eating hot dogs? I would say that he is. Therefore, he's a professional athlete. How would you answer that question?
I don't think he's an athlete at all. There's professional eating. It's just like a guy. Like I don't consider that a sport. Hot dog eating. That's like a pastime, a hobby, a good hobby, by the way. But I don't know if it's a sport.
He's a professional eater. There's a difference, is what Dave's saying, and that's why Dave and I get along. We generally see things the same way. Which thank you, Jeremy in Winnipeg, for now getting us on track. Jeremy in Winnipeg asks you, Dave, is J.J. McCarthy the guy? And I'll just throw in there, he's going to have to be. But how would you answer that?
I'm 100% with you there. He's going to have to be. I mean, there's nobody else. I mean, the Vikings have had these strange quarterback things. Like, the Kirk Cousins thing. I mean, guy, impressive stats, great thing. Didn't win anything for him. Even before that, like it's just a weird thing with the Vikings. They target one quarterback. And if you're not the guy, they move on. So JJ, he's going to have a very, very short leash. Short leash. That's for sure, because it's unproven. That's the only way to say it is like you go into these things. Yes, fantastic. U.S. college career, fantastic. You're off nursing an injury. That's you're off. You're older. Who knows? And that's the best thing you can say. It's the unknown. And I was looking on the Vikings website the other day looking for tickets for friends. And what I did notice was like the crowds. Like it looks like almost virtually every game right now, even before they go into the season, is almost sold out. Most of the tickets are resale tickets, right? So I guess the fans in the Twin Cities are ready for it. They're ready for the change. They're ready for the excitement, and we just gotta wait and see. I'm on the fence. I don't know. It's the great unknown to me.
Well, dude, we're gonna hopefully have you on a lot over the summer and into the fall talking NFL. David is a Viking season ticket holder, and I love that our viewers know that. That's why they went right to the Vikings questions for you. But I'm a J.J. McCarthy fan. He's got all you need. He won a national championship with Michigan. I've followed his story personally. It's a very inspirational story. So I'm hoping for the best. I think he can be the guy. Dave, there's talent around him. It wasn't all your quarterback last year. There was talent there, right? Are you a J.J. McCarthy guy? Are you a fan? Are you optimistic about how this is going to go?
I am tremendously optimistic. Like I said, like it's unknown. And you go in there because, I'm a season ticket holder for a long time. I've been following the Vikings ever since in front of my parents' TV when they would, we would be waiting for 60 minutes in the 70s and the Vikings game would go long and they were playing outside in Bloomington and the snow was there. And it's always so fascinating. And that's when I became a Vikings fan. So I am very optimistic. This is an organization that has now seemed to be on the right track. And they do have the right pieces in place. And all I said before is I'm just on the fence. I can't, you got your fingers crossed. Like I said, he's bringing the resume, but had that year off last year, the unfortunate injury. And we've seen some guys come back or never come back from injury. So I'm just hoping. I am hoping the guy has the pedigree.
We're going to swing this around in a second because not only does Dave have season tickets to the Vikings, he has season tickets to the Bombers. But you talked about being a longtime Vikings fan and how the games are almost all sold out all year. What would you attribute this NFL immense popularity to? More popular than ever. Man, I was talking about this with some football guys the other day. They said it's too big now to fail. How did this happen? How'd they go about it?
Well, I think about the game day experience. Like there was, when I first started to go to games at the old Metrodome, it was pretty impressive. But it was nothing like it is now. Like, I mean, people, and I'm not talking about tailgating, and I'm not talking about guys getting there at 6 o'clock in the morning and start cooking brats and stuff like that. I'm talking about the minute you enter like the downtown Minneapolis area, there's just a vibe. And they've got the area around, they call it, was it Kirby Puckett Drive? And it's just not, bars and saloons and things like that. There's just interactive things. There's parks. There's places to go. There's children playing. There's football tosses. It's just become bigger and bigger. The NFL's involvement in flag football, which I know that we've piggybacked on. Canada has really jumped on that too. But I think they've really developed this. But baseball, for the longest time, they still call it, America's game or the national pastime and stuff like that, but it's not anymore. It's football. It's people just get so geared up, and people, the promotion they've done, if your city doesn't have a team that you've glommed onto somebody, but the minute you walk in, and this from work, from the places you've been in, the minute you walk on site or anywhere near a stadium, it's game day. It is something that it's just a culture. We've been to games. You see mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and three kids all sitting across. Everybody's into this thing, and everybody's eating hot dogs, and mom and dad, everybody's drinking beer. It is just an amazing thing. Like, it's just an amazing experience to be in that stadium. Any stadium.
Yeah, I could sum that up in 20 to 30 seconds. They're incredibly inclusive. I've been to just about every stadium. I've been to Super Bowls, and the NFL is always, come on in. It's fan-driven. They make the fans feel important. And thank you for saying that. And the other thing is, they're everywhere in the media. You can't turn around without seeing the NFL. So bravo to them. Folks, I'll get to your comments in a second. Well, hey, Fake Gainer writes in. It has a referring to you. Fake Gainer writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hey, Reverend Rod, if the sports doctor comes to the Labor Day Classic, I would like to buy him a pregame hot dog. If I find my wallet by then, signed Fake Gainer. Do you have plans to make the pilgrimage to the Labor Day Classic?
100%. I hope that we can meet up at Ballers Rec Room like we did last year on the Saturday. And tell Fake Gainer that we'll be at Wayne's World prior to the game. We're coming with a big the 1930 crew. There'll be a couple of buses of us coming down. We're going to arrive. I'm on the advanced crew, so I'm going to drive out on my own and sneak in a little visit to the Four Seasons Sports Palace, and then head up and to the was it Crave, where they have the Bomber House. So Wade puts on a bit of a spread there, and then we'll end up always at Ballers Rec Room.
Was such a great time last year. And by the way, I'll be there too, Dave. I'll be emceeing the golf tournament again. I can't wait. Arlen Bruce III writes in. He says, great morning, RP. I love playing at the Metrodome in college, playing for the Gophers in 98, 99. AB, we were talking about you and your kid last hour. You might want to rewind. Scott in Vancouver writes in. He says, the CFL was widely considered the stronger league prior to the Super Bowl era. Cool, Scott. Maybe get with the times. That was almost 60 years ago. And I would encourage the CFL to get with the times, too. Now, sitting there in Winnipeg, where you are now the flagship franchise of the Canadian Football League, how many sellouts in a row? Is it 7? Will this be 8 this week?
This will be number 8, and it's absolutely incredible. And we talk about and you and I have talked about this on the program before, the game day experience that Wade Miller and the entire Winnipeg Blue Bomber organization have created. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have this, and I know it's the same in a lot of different cities, and I'm not trying to throw stones at anybody because I know the large viewing audiences in Saskatchewan, because that is a great game day experience too. But Winnipeg has embraced this with the parking, the tailgating, the games. We've got our Thursday games too. We've got our weird date games too, but everything's sold out. It's just such an experience. And we got a big game Friday. Milt Stiegel's going to be in the house with the TSN crew. I didn't read anywhere if Luke Wilson was going to be there, but man, oh man, like TSN is making this a big event. But when you walk on to anywhere near Princess Auto Stadium, it's game day. And it's just absolutely the vibe. And, winning cures a lot of those problems before, but ever since that the Blue Bombers have moved to the University of Manitoba, every year seems to be better and better and better in terms of game day experience. I mean, there's stuff for, you said inclusive, there's stuff on game day. There's bouncy castles and kids rides, and there's face painting, and there's stuff for the hardcores. There's bands playing, there's beer everywhere, right? So there's, like you said, there's something for everybody. They've embraced that. And that's why we're going to go to number 8 on Friday.
Rob in Las Vegas writes in, he says, my mom has been a passionate Bomber fan for over 80 years. She watched games back in the day at Osborne Stadium. She still watches every game on TV. That's what you want. Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in, he says, pay attention, CFL, follow the Bomber blueprint. Well, we've been following it, and you and I have been at games there together in Winnipeg, and you're right, Wade Miller should get all or most of the credit for what they've done. Clearly, things changed with him becoming president of the team. I got to ask you this, David, which I never have. Are you going through something there as a Bomber fan base that you've got a lot of new fans that didn't know what it was like before? You've been in 5 straight Grey Cups, brother. In case you forgot, Dave, the Bombers have been in 5 straight Grey Cups. We see it in Florida with the Panthers. There's all these new fans, right, that forgot or didn't even know about the 30 years of sucking before that. And we went through it with the Riders when we were good in the decade of decadence, and 100 years of crap before that. They didn't even know. Yeah. Do you guys have that in Winnipeg?
Yeah, 100%. We get reminded by the Saskatchewan fans about the 29-year drought, that's for sure. But I when I used to walk into the the old stadium, like when it was Canada Stadium, Winnipeg Stadium before that, we had such a great, impressive home record, and we had success in 84 and 88, and what was the other one? It's even hard. It's hard even to remember, but we did have those success in those years, and then it became just absolutely awful. And I think those days have passed. I think that people have forgiven, forgot. That's for sure. As long as we were able to put a competitive team on the field. And yeah, you're right. People, we go to the games right now. And I remember when Princess Auto Stadium first opened, they have got the rum hut, just like, they've got the pill section in Saskatchewan, but this thing was just absolutely jammed. They sell tickets. You don't even get a seat. You just get a ticket in there and you stand there and watch the game. And I remember 12 years ago, walking around going, these people aren't even watching the game. What are they here for? Now I going, this is genius. What we've done is we're cultivating that younger fan, that we're talking about the 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are there, couldn't care less about the game. When they hear the cannon, they cheer, but they got the drinks going, they got everything happening, and that's going to parlay later in life into I have to go to the Bomber game. That's just part of my routine. So yeah, I think, but you're right. I think there's a lot of people that didn't remember, the Jeff Reinbold era and the Joe Mack general manager era rather. And it was just awful. But winning cures everything.
Well, I think it's why you and I get along. We both have big hearts. And I felt bad for you specifically and Bomber fans, because I was there. I mean, we had our downtimes too, but 29 years is a long-ass time, man, and there were several rock bottoms along that. Oh, so I'm still happy to this day for Bomber fans and yourself, and I think that's why we have such high viewership in Winnipeg. They can feel it. They can sense it. There's an amazing amount of comments that have come in from the viewers. I thought if we gave Dave this longer segment, we would get to everything, and we're not. We're going to run out of time again. We still have some time, Dave, but I could go on for hours with you, as you know. But John Ohm in Winnipeg wants to know your take on Luke Wilson. He'll be there. It's Friday Night Football. So what do you think about Luke Wilson on TSN?
I absolutely love him. I love him. I think I was at a thing with the new commissioner when they were introducing him, and he was going around his tour in Winnipeg. And I agree with him. One of his takes was the Toronto Saskatchewan game when he called it hot garbage. I think that was a strongly worded, probably wrong worded thing to do. I think that what he's doing, he's poking the bear, because there's a lot of times, and Rod, you know this, it's the CFL is very closed in. We're going to do what we always did. We're going to hope for the best. We're going to do some different things and yada, yada. Where I like Luke Wilson, just a refreshing take. He'll call it like it is. He'll cheerlead when he needs to be cheerleaded, when things are going well, and they'll call out faults. And he's not doing it from a NFL is superior, I'm superior. This is just a guy going, hey, I'm part of this now. We got to move forward, and we got to figure a few things out. I don't think there's many rules that need to be changed in the CFL. I don't think I read something that, if you're going to third down and one, you can declare it, and you don't have that yard off the line of scrimmage. I don't know if you need to have really complicated rules, but you need to take a look at what you're doing every single game, and you need to be better. And you need to be better. That will grow the game. When there's games like I don't remember that one game that he called hot garbage, but was there 35 penalties or something like that? I can't remember exactly, I could be really wrong, but probably as you're watching that, if you are watching that maybe in the States, or they're going, what is going on with all these flags? And it's just the best games that you've ever been to, I've ever been to, all the fans have ever been to. Minimal penalties, lots of scoring, lots of excitement, and none of these weird things that happen. That's when you get too many penalties. That's just badly coached teams. Like, they're just not getting it. Like, when the guy gets the fourth or fifth holding penalty in a row, like what is he even doing in the game? Why isn't the coach yoinked him, right? I get that, those kind of things, but I like his take. I like it refreshing. I think it's refreshing, and I think he brings an excitement, and he was really good on that Friday with the smoke game in Regina, that's for sure. And I think he probably earned a lot of fans just because of the way he is there.
And I don't think he felt like he was doing any back-breaking labor. He was just being himself, and he's pretty much single-handedly carried that hour-long delay on TSN before they said screw it and went to blooper videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fantastic job by him. It's a different world. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in, he says, what is interesting, they love Luke Wilson in the CFL head office. They should. Dave, we're pretty much out of time. I appreciate you coming on, my brother. And the Stampede Bowl rematch should be fun Friday, huh?
It's going to be great. Like you said, anytime the barn is going to be sold out, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I do. The Big Blue Bombers had that week off, and I think it's going to be an exciting game. We've seen Calgary play great football lately, and Friday is going to be must-see TV.
Thanks so much, David. I can't wait to see you in the RP So shirt that I sent you, maybe Labor Day weekend. Everybody, will be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. I feel like we have a lot to discuss. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and found on all major podcast platforms.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Back at it, everybody, live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw. Make your birthday unforgettable at Golden Ticket Sports Center. Book your birthday party with us for a fun-filled celebration packed with sports, games, and endless excitement. Visit GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com to reserve your spot today. And the text line is for Western Dodge, proud partners of the Rod Pedersen Show. Western Dodge, a Moose Jaw big city selection with small town service. From the text line now. Yeah, if you just joined us, you've really missed a lot today of a really fun show. But I was saying going to Calgary for a couple of shows, maybe a third in August, but in no cases am I available for lunch for those that are asking, nor coffee. Not that I don't like you. I would love to. But it's in and out, like a fiddler's elbow, in and out. And no time for Mickey Mousin. That's all. And Fake Gainer said that he would have bought me a hot dog with a Milestone Co-op deal, but he forgot his wallet. That's an old Craig Adam trick. And I said, it's okay. I don't eat hot dogs anyways. To clarify, I'm not anti-hot dog. Let me just say I'm taking a break. Laverne in Swift Current writes in and says, hey, Rod, hot diggity dog. My dad always said they're made of chicken lips and the poop's nose. Give me a ring of good old Ukrainian sausage instead. I'm not sure that sausage is made with a lot more, regal products either. Ron in Calgary writes in, he says, I learned what was in hot dogs 30 years ago, still eating them, still kicking and watching you. It's a personal choice. Yeah, and for how long? Don't brag. It's a personal choice. That's all. Not casting any dispersions on anybody doing whatever they please. It's a me thing. Thanks. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hi, Rod. Mock meat. You do you. Arlen Bruce III writes it. He says, RP, my guy, I appreciate the support for my son, Arlen Bruce IV. Interestingly enough, he has 2 games left in the IFL, then has a Zoom meeting with the new CFL commission on getting reinstated. There's the breaking news. Kevin the Medium, if you're still watching, we've got breaking news. Arlen Bruce dropping it here. The new commissioner, Stuart Johnson. Usually when you have these Zoom meetings, can I pass this along, Arlen? You can pass this along to your son. It will all be predicated on your son's attitude. That's what we'll decide it. I don't know Stuart Johnston other than having interviewed him on this show, but don't take my word, take Theron Fleury's word. He had a meeting with Gary Bettman when he was looking to get reinstated into the National Hockey League. And if you know Theo, you all think you know him, but none of you do. I'll tell you my own story. When I appeared before the SGI board, Saskatchewan Government Insurance, they were going to take my license away because of an accumulation of speeding tickets and points. I'm like, guys, it's all me. I've been an idiot. If you don't take my license away, you'll never see me again. It didn't hurt that I knew 2 of the 3 guys on the board, one of which was Glenn Pee Wee Erickson, the former goaltender of the Weyburn Devils, and he threw my license at me, and he goes, we've been following your story. We believe you. I kept my license, and they've never seen me since. I kept my word. That's what it is. Fall on your sword, and then never do it again. I will pass that along. Please pass that along to your son. He'll be playing in the CFL if he falls on his sword and admits his wrongdoing. Instead of this, it's not my fault, that we see so prevalent in society these days. Wasn't me. Get that all the time, man. I just got it last week. I almost choked the guy. He was older than me. Wasn't a young man either. Bomber boy. No, check that. Kevin the Medium says, yes, free Arlen. That's breaking news. I'll break that this afternoon on Twitter. That'll get him going. Jeremy says the CFL should have a show on TSN like ESPN does with NFL Live 24/7. Oh, do you know anybody that could host it? I would love to have a CFL-specific show, but we're not going to do that here on Game Plus TV because they're very happy, as are we, with what we do. NHL, NFL, CFL with some baseball rolled in. But if it was CFL specific, I would love it. Keep the comments going, everybody. We'll be right back with Overtime right after this on Game Plus live streaming and all major podcast platforms.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time for Overtime, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. And by the way, I was privy to a meeting with Overtime Hockey Lanes and our business staff yesterday, and I'm just as pleased as punch, as are they. They're happy. We're happy. It's one of our longest standing sponsors. Access Communications is my longest standing sponsor. I think Overtime Hockey Lanes would be number 2. And we're going to be going there for the live show on July 30th. What's the biggest problem with Overtime Hockey Lanes? They just want more people to know about them. So for those that have been there, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary, an amusement park for hockey players, as I like to call it. They like to say where skill and fun collide. They both work. Check it out this summer, for the love of God. What's there, 1.5 million people in Calgary now? You're driving through Calgary, stop in at Overtime Hockey Lanes, and I'm going to tell you, you can't just stop in. It's like the Hockey Hall of Fame. You can't just stop in. You're going to end up spending at least the afternoon there. But tell them Randy and Michelle that the RP show sent you. We'll be doing a live show there on July 30th, and I can't wait. Just great people, family-run business, and built for a guy like me, which, you know, the viewers are saying if there was a CFL-specific show on TSN, which there should be, Rod should host it. I'd be very happy to do that. I love the CFL. But what you all need to understand is, if you don't by now, especially the new viewers, my true and first passion is hockey. That's what I want to do. And I turned my back on it for far too long. I got back into it with the Florida Panthers show that we do. It very quickly became Florida's most watched hockey show. And that's what I want to do. When I'm around the hockey people, those are my people. That's when I'm the happiest. But I also love the CFL. But I also want to do the NFL work. I want to do it all. I should be able to. So that's all. I know you CFL fans would love us to sit here and talk about the CFL for 2 hours every day. We could do that. I don't want to, because there's a lot of other great things. Plus, I'm working in baseball too, and I really love that. I like a challenge. I like new things. I should be able to do what I want to do at this stage of the game. Sports update. This one for Seat Giant. The Canadian Football League has reinstated veteran defensive lineman Sean Lemon, who was suspended last year for betting on games in 2021. Lemon wagered on CFL contests while with Calgary, including one he played in. Now a free agent, he's eligible to sign with any team under strict conditions. Any further violations mean a lifetime ban. Dovetailing off that, we've learned, thanks to the Bruce family, that Arlen Bruce IV will have a hearing with CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnston at the conclusion of the Indoor Football League season about reinstatement into the CFL. If you're watching the last segment, like I said, fall on your sword, Arlen. Admit wrongdoing, vow never to do it again, and then don't do it. You're welcome. Major League Baseball has the day off after the National League topped the American League in a first-ever All-Star swing-off last night. That sounds weird and a little dirty, but the annual classic ended 6-6 before each team picked 3 hitters for a home run showdown, with the NL winning 4-3. Blue Jays, Vladdy and Alejandro Kirk both went 1 for 2 at the plate during the game. This story I'm still trying to get my mind around. The Hamilton Labor Council is calling on the NHL to apologize for suspending and fining the Hamilton Tigers during the NHL's first strike a century ago. Hamilton's players refused to skate in the 1925 playoffs after the NHL added games without raising pay. League President Frank Calder gave the title to Montreal, and the Hamilton franchise was soon moved to New York. Here's the first thing I'm thinking with this. What are you expecting to get out of this? And if you're the NHL, I would say, okay, we're sorry. You feel better now? Move on, maybe. Move on. The sports update's brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. They've got it all. Use the promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Check us out at seatgiant.ca. Thank you, Nelson, our VP of Sim Events. He says, great show, RP. Later. Thank you, Wayne in BC. He says, great RP show as usual. Thank you. Jeremy in Winnipeg writes in. He says, it's nice. You can actually chat about sports and not listen to people just talk, like NFL Live, Good Morning Football, NHL Network. We're different than all of them. There's no doubt about that. And they're all great. And I appreciate everybody stopping by here every day and making us part of their day. It's just so darn much fun. Scott in Vancouver, Scott in Vancouver says it's like reinstating shoeless Joe Jackson. It is, but he died 100 years ago. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's for the peace. For the peace. Okay. That's my point. So the NHL, I would hope, I guess, will apologize, although they probably won't. The leagues don't usually apologize, which, by the way, we don't have time for this, but CFL did the exact same thing. Adding more games, didn't pay the players. The players took them to court. Tony Gabriel told a story here on this show a month ago, and the CFL won, just like the NHL would win here. So Kevin the Medium says, the Hughes Sports Podcast had Arlen Bruce IV on our show a while back, and he took responsibility for what he did. I was so impressed with him. I hope he gets an opportunity. Thank you, Bill. He says, good show, Rod. Go Argos. Probably a lot more CFL talk tomorrow. Kevin the Medium adds, if I show up at Overtime Lanes, will you promise not to shoot me with the puck again? Nope, I won't promise that. I shot his hat right off his head. I did it, and he thought that it was a fluke. Nope. I'm going to tell you guys all again, hockey is my number one sport. One day, you'll get it through your head. Football, I like. Hockey, I love. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says, I'm sure Arlen Sr. had his share of league meetings. His celebrations were some of the best. Yeah. Remember the Spider-Man mask and all the rest? I don't know. I thought we were in the entertainment business. That's what I thought. Thank you to the Sports Doctor. Thank you to the Moose. Most of all, thank you all for tuning in, because without you, there would be no us. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Arash Madash is going to be joining us, and Moose as well. See you tomorrow. Be good to each other.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?